Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe. Entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farrar.
Good morning. How are we? I was going to say May the 4th day, right? You know, Star Wars about. Then I thought that's a bit cringy. But my son Luke's just sent me a TikTok, and of course Luke's my my oldest Jedi. So, hello, Luke, in bed. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Good to be back. We've had a bit of a sabbatical. We've had a few weeks off because things are absolutely crazy here at Far North. Really, really crazy. But we really wanted to do this because we're close to a few charities. We wanted to share their why with you. I think that might be a good place to start. Actually, when we talk about these three organizations, what is your why? Let me know if you hear. As you know, we are across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I might do my thing where I blatantly just hack it and share from all my accounts whilst I'm on the phone to you. What else we got? Oh, there's our Laura. Hi, Laura. Laura's from Grace House. Remember, we've done stuff with Grace House before. Laura's amazing. Let me just basically share this. Let me know if you're here. We can throw up comments such as what Laura's just done. Oh, there's our Glenn. Morning, Glenn. And Jordan likes pint with Glenn on Friday night in the sunshine. Then look at today. Absolutely crazy. Raining away here in South Shields. So just as Laura and Glenn have done there, let me know if you're here. We're going to celebrate three fantastic organizations this morning. First of all, we have Morning Petal Dust. Wow. See what you've started, Glenn? Do you see what you've done? This morning we've got, first of all, we've got Sara Young, Changing Minds with Pick Up a Penny. Sarah's going to take us through her mental health service organization. Then we've got a friend of the show, Ray Spencer, from the Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust. And then we have Sara and Christopher Cookson from the Charlie and Carter Foundation, which I'm a trustee of. So I'm a little bit biased, but they are amazing. So we're going to have them on last. So we'll probably take you to about maybe 11:30, something like that. Depends on how much we gas on and how inspirational these people are. It is whenever I have live, people text me and say, I'm watching you live. I know, stop it. Stop freaking us out. Should we just go live then? I feel like I need to up my greetings. I think you do, Laura. I think you do. Right, let's bring our Sara in. Let me give you a bit of an introduction to her first. Changing Minds with Pick Up a Penny offers a multidisciplinary range of mental health interventions for children, young people, and their families. Now, let me welcome the founder, Sara Young. Hi, Sara.
Hello. How are you doing, Ian?
Oh, I'm good. I'm a little bit disheveled because we normally do this with like 30 seconds to spare. We don't.
Right.
We just jump on like on the seat of our pants all of the time.
Right.
I must say thank you to Boomerang Healthcare as well, who've sent me a lovely cup with our logo on and then my face. And the girls are now drinking our cups with my face on. How lovely for them. Right then, how are you doing, Mrs.? What we're going to do today?
I'm good, thank you, Ian. Yeah. Talk about mental health. I talk about changes that can happen, changes that can take place. I think this morning I was sitting at home with my cup of tea, thinking, right, shall I take notes? Shall I look at everything? And if I did that, I'd be on here all day. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted about anybody has any questions or you have questions, just fire them off and let's see where we go.
Well, shall I tell you what? I'm going to just share this live. And if anyone else could share this for us as well, and we'll get as much traction as we can for these charities. Because it's been a tough time in terms of fundraising, third sector organisations, events, everything's stopped. Let me just ask you about that, Sara. In terms of fundraising, how do you go about funding the organisation?
Well, during COVID, obviously we weren't able to do any fundraising. We've got some brilliant companies and organisations who support us, But during COVID, to be honest, we got some lottery funding and government funding, which just saw us through. So we were able to help a lot of children initially and young people during that period because of the funding we got. So we were getting parents getting in touch where the children were really struggling. Things like, I'm frightened I'm going to kill grandma and granddad, because they thought they would give them the virus. So it was really scary for a lot of children. And then if any traumatic events happened within their life, there was nowhere really for people felt. There was nowhere to turn. So we were able to provide that service and do it online. So we're able to provide what's called AMDR, which is a trauma therapy, or was originally formulated as a trauma therapy. So we were able to do that online, which was really, really fortunate before we got all the PPE in place and then came back into working face to face.
It's been a really testing time, isn't it? I think, I know the word pivot's been used quite a lot, but I think we've just had to adapt, and probably not knowing what the future looked like. And then first kind of second lockdowns, it was just a bit, I think the world stopped for a few weeks. We certainly did. We didn't invoice for a couple of months in the first lockdown. The sun was shining a bit. The wine was flowing a little bit too much. And I think it was one of them ones where we just kind of sat and thought, right, what's happening here? And then after a couple of weeks, I certainly did. I thought, right, that's enough. I'm going to have to actually do something. And I think organizations did sort of say, right, okay, if this is what it's going to look like, the new normal we heard so much about, we're going to have to actually get back and do what you can. So what did that look like for you, Sarah, from a point of view of the services you offer? Was that remote?
As a therapist, yeah, we immediately spoke to our therapists and transferred everything online. Some clients didn't want to do that, and it's really difficult for adolescents. I would say they really struggled with the direct face on a camera. So sometimes it was about, right, okay, we'll not have the camera on. Let's just do this where you don't have to have your camera on until you may feel more comfortable doing it, you know. So there were certain challenges and hurdles to overcome, but it worked really well. We had clients that felt they were all right and didn't need to come back immediately. They could manage, and if they needed the support, they'd get in touch. But then we had an influx of clients that we hadn't had because of the pandemic, certainly parents with children, so we were able to do that remotely.
I saw some HSE stats last week. I think I did a post on LinkedIn, and quite frightening last year's stats on mental health kind of impact in the workplace, you know, from managerial, the leadership point of view, how our teams are doing. But have you seen any stats yet? Have you got any hard stats yourself, or have you got any? Yeah, have you got anything you can share?
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence coming out, but a lot of evidence coming out of America, you know, and I think the increase that we're seeing is overall, not just with children and adolescents, but certainly using social media so much more, and the impact of that. So one of the statistics that's just come out of America in the research is if an adolescent spends 5 hours a day on social media, they're 71% more likely to suffer from depression or have suicidal ideation, which is a really, really significant, you know, finding. And I think from what we're seeing, a lot of the impact on the mental health is to do, certainly with children, is driven by that. Adults, it's social isolation, certainly with children as well, but a lot of social isolation. And we're social beings. We need to interact. We need to come together. The automatic thing, if you have something that happens, is to cuddle someone. So the amount of times you see people going, I would like to give you a cuddle, you know, these sort of things, because that's what we do, which releases oxytocin, which is the moral molecule. It makes you feel good. It releases those hormones, and none of that's being able to happen, you know. So it's had a huge impact, certainly on anxiety levels are the biggest things that are coming out, levels of anxiety and depression from the isolation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to share this from your website. What you said is, I've witnessed firsthand how our mental health service hasn't provided the best mental health provision children and young people deserved. I began to knock on doors and ask the questions, how do I change government policy? To start with, I was told you need a PhD to be heard. No problem, I thought, I can do that. And I love that, Sarah, because I think you also go on to say that you left school without any qualifications, and now you're doing your PhD at the moment. You're almost there. Am I right?
I'm in the last few months. I'm writing up at the moment, and I'll be done this year definitely. But it was really unusual, to think I'd done a degree, which was something I never thought I'd do anyway, leaving school with no qualifications. But I then thought, right, okay, people are going to listen, and people didn't. And then when I was told, no, you definitely need to have a PhD and be a doctor, and I thought, God, it's crazy, really, isn't it, that you have to have those two initials to give you some
credibility.
Yeah, that's it. And people are starting to listen. I think the more that people are hearing what we're doing, what we're about, what we want to achieve for children and young people, certainly in our region to start with, and then throughout the UK as a rollout. But certainly as far as government and government policy and changing, they want more. So they want to say who you are, what you've done, and why. So you have to have that basis of research to be able to say, well, there's the evidence. So now can we do something about this?
Going back to your organisation, then, I know sometimes we might sit and we might think, we want to make a change, but we can't because we can't be heard. We're the minnows, Westminster, this, that, and the other. Is that why you started this organisation then? Because you think, well, I need to put my money where my mouth is, or I need to put my head on the block and actually just do something?
Yeah, therapists are great at talking.
Okay.
I'll raise my hands. We're the best at talking, but I've sat in so many meetings where, yes, therapists talk, but then nothing happens. Nobody does anything. So my belief is you can't complain unless you're going to actually stand up and do something about it. So that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to change it, and I'm doing everything I can to do that.
How many years in, Sarah?
This is our second. I think we're coming into our third year, actually, because of COVID. It felt like you lost a year, but I think this is coming into our this is our third year. Yeah.
And have you got any stats, right, to put in the spot here? Have you got any stats about what you've done within those 3 years?
Well, we've worked with hundreds of children, young people and adults now. We've been able to do a lot of work that was funded. So families, certainly in the Northeast, that wouldn't have been able to access the therapy, and also neurofeedback. So it's not, my belief is one size doesn't fit all. So currently our mental health service provides mainly, not always, but mainly CBT. And it doesn't work for everyone because every single person is individual. So they have individual needs. About 2 years ago, I was working with some clients and just finding it didn't matter what I did, that the therapy or the EMDR, it just wasn't making a difference. So this was mainly with children with special educational needs. They were getting some symptom relief, but it wasn't touching what I wanted to do. I wanted to give them what they deserved. So I started to look into neurofeedback, which works with the brain. So children with sensory integration issues, children who are autistic, ADHD. And I had a wonderful little boy who came in, who was actually part of the research study, and his mom gave me permission to talk about him. And he's on our video. And he came in this day, and we've got these really bright coloured chairs in our clinic. And he was sitting going like this, and I was saying, what's different about you? What's happened? And he said, oh, my mum forgot to give me my meds. And I looked at him, and he has ADHD, and I said, what's it like not being on your medication? And he said, I feel alive and I feel free. Wow. So for me, that was had such an impact. And I'd already been looking into neurofeedback, which is the gold standard for treatment of ADHD in America. So I said, I'm going away. I'm going to find out about this, because I'd already been looking for a year, but hadn't found anyone in the UK to provide the training. Found this fantastic organisation in the Netherlands, and I trained with them. And I have one of the world's leading experts in neurofeedback as my mentor. And I said to him, come back and we'll do this to help you to see if you can come off your medication. Started his neurofeedback treatment. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit. He's doing really well, and we'll be going back to doing that work with him once he's finished his exams, because he's actually going through doing his exams at the minute. But for me, it's been a game changer. So the children that I just couldn't reach, or the adults, would come in. So a young girl that couldn't leave the house, had severe bullying, she'd been severely bullied, couldn't leave the house, couldn't go into school, panic attacks, anxiety, had 10 sessions of neurofeedback, no symptoms at all, was absolutely fine, which to me was just mind-blowing, really, to look at. So we incorporate looking at the brain and not just the mind. So I do assessments where it's about, you meet the person and you want to see or hear what's happening. But now when I meet a person, I know what's happening in their brain. So my brain, hang on, where's my brain? It's over there. I've got one over there. So
I ask myself that daily.
It's over there. It's on the side. So when children come in, or adults, I'll get the brain and I'll talk about, okay, I can hear. So sleep deprivation has been one of the biggest issues in lockdown. So sleep deprivation was used as torture in the war. So what it can do is the symptoms you can get can mirror ADHD, or they can mirror, you can be depressed, anxious, irritable, agitated, you lose your temper if you're not getting good quality sleep. So you might think you're getting to sleep. So it may be sleep onset insomnia where you can't get to sleep. So you ruminate. So then I'll look at different areas of the brain, just from what the person's telling me. What's your thinking like before you go to sleep? Is it cognitive? Did I leave the pan on, or did I do this? Or is it emotional? Is it a worry? Then you locate the area of the brain that they then train themselves, bring it back into the optimum level, and their sleep, they can sleep after that. So I had a young girl that was going to get a diagnosis of ADHD. She came, and what the assessment showed from the mapping on the brain was that she actually had sleep deprivation. She was severely sleep deprived. And we did about 14 sessions of neurofeedback, and she was sleeping perfectly and her symptoms went away. So it's not just about, you'll see a child and you think, oh, definitely that's ADHD, which is what people do. And we're moving so far away from diagnosis. I don't believe in diagnosis in the DSM and the I don't even know what we use in the UK actually, CDI, CDSC. I never look at it because I just don't believe in them. So DSM in America is the one that is a billing tool, So now we're moving away from these things as an organization to say, actually, what is happening for this person? It's not about what is your diagnosis, because that makes no difference. That doesn't help them. That's not going to help their mental health. Okay, I've got a diagnosis of OCD, but actually what's happening in your brain, and that's an area called the anterior cingulate that's overreacting. So when I talk to children and adults and I show them the brain, and it takes away the stigma, so they can then say, actually, this little bit of my brain is just going a bit too slow, so I need to speed it up. They come in, they watch a video or play one of the games that we use, and then their brain does the rest. They actually do it, rewires and works, so they get optimal performance really for themselves.
You skirt over that bit. Tell us how that works, Sarah.
Okay,
you told me about you watching a movie and things like that. Go on, tell me a little bit about that.
So what we do is I do a full map of the brain to start with, and that tells me exactly what's happening and the networks. It's not just about a specific area, because it works on network connection in the brain. And then I'll work out a protocol. So this is what both myself and our two ladies that work for us, Debbie and Deborah, who are our technicians, and they'll put electrodes. So you might get 1 or 2 sensors on the scalp and 1 or 2 on the ear clips. And then what the child or the adult will do is they'll sit and a movie will come on. We'll watch the computer so we can actually see what's happening in the brain. So they may be working on 3 different areas. So it's always based on reward. So you get a positive reward and a negative reward. So it's always about a reward base for the brain. So then the child will watch the film. So say they want to watch, I don't know, Spider-Man. So they'll watch Spider-Man. If their brain is working in that optimal level, the film will play. If it just moves away from that, then the film will pause, or it'll shrink and go dark. Usually we'll have it on pause. And then the brain quickly learns, or the child will say, it's the only thing that it's the only way of learning where you're not meant to try. So often you'll get told, try really hard, do your best, work hard. Well, actually, it's not about that in neurofeedback. It's about just letting your brain do what it needs to do. And quickly the client learns to just, whether it's breathing or whatever it is for them, that their brain will do the work for them. So, and then in time, certainly within the session, you can see those changes taking place minute by minute in the session in the brain, and then the rewiring takes place during sleep. And you can have symptom reduction from, the first session. Sometimes clients report symptom reduction, and you can work with anything, depression, anxiety, trauma. There are trauma protocols you can use. But again, it's about meeting the client's need of what they need. So sometimes I'll do therapy and then we'll do 15 minutes of neurofeedback. So the sessions are usually for children about 15 minutes. For adults, it's 20 minutes. Sometimes you might do 2 protocols in one session, so it'd be longer. But sometimes I'll do therapy with a child or a young person, and then the last 15 minutes we'll do the neurofeedback. So you're integrating both into what the child or the adult needs.
I lost you for a second there. I don't know. My PC ran away. Did you talk about that trauma to the head? Because me and you were having a chat before, and you talked about
traumatic brain injuries. Yeah, that's another one. Traumatic brain injuries can often look again. There's some great research that was actually done in the UK about working with children and looking to see if they've had any traumatic brain injuries. So one of the questions I ask is certainly about birth, or have you ever bumped your head? Because I think a TBI, as it's called, people often think you have to be at a concussion at 15 miles an hour can cause more damage to the brain than having a high impact in a car crash. So whiplash or falling off a bike, bumping your head, the actual back and forward motion of the brain inside the skull causes what's called a contracoup. So your brain hits the back and then it'll ricochet forward and hit the front. So they cause working memory issues, depends on where it is. So I had a lady recently and she just couldn't remember. She said, I don't know why, my memory, I always had a fantastic memory. And over the last 2 years, and that was one of the questions, have you had a head injury? And here she'd had a concussion. So there was damage to the area of the brain that works with word finding, memory, those sort of issues. And she's done a neurofeedback and yeah, great, worked. Her memory's back to where it was. So certainly again around the pandemic with COVID and long COVID, there's been a lot of evidence coming out about what's happening to the brain fog. It's a very scientific, I'll not go into all the science behind it, but effective, because I love it, but so it causes a lot of damage to the brain. So there was a case of a gentleman in America who'd never had any mental health issues, fit, healthy, 51-year-old man. He got COVID, wasn't a severe case. 2 weeks after, he had a psychotic break. So he had a psychosis, and this was caused by whatever happened to him through COVID to his brain. And certainly again, long COVID, the brain fog can be treated with neurofeedback. So there's some great stuff that we can do. I suppose the frustration for us is, it's for me, the frustration for me is that it's not used a lot in the UK. So America and Europe are the places that have a lot of support out there. So everything I do is in America, really, or Europe.
So in terms of your calling then, Sarah, is this what you want to do? Influence more within the UK, get this new kind of technology and processes embedded here?
Yeah, definitely. Well, why wouldn't you? Why would you not want to give a person what they deserve. And if it's not mind, because the brain impacts the mind impacts the brain and the body, and it's a whole, it's as one, you know. You don't just work with, as therapists years ago, it used to just be from the neck up, but actually the link between your body, you know yourself. If like this morning coming on here, I was like, I could tell I was a little bit nervous. The first place for me is my stomach, so I know
Me too.
So if that's the case, that tells me that my brain is releasing some cortisol. And it's my stomach that's affected. So why would you just work with the brain? Why would you just work with up here and not work with the whole body? So it's very much a holistic approach to looking at how to work with children. Early intervention, you know, you get into schools, you do this in schools in early age, then the chances of that, you know, that resilience that they talk about, or we talk about, is there in place to support the child through their development. And certainly not just working in isolation. So we work with families. So, you know, I've had moms and I've said, actually, I think it's you that needs a little bit of support here as well.
Okay.
And
great
we
stuff.
do that, and we liaise with schools, and I'll give all the information to the schools so they can support the children within the schools as well. So it's not just working in isolation, it's getting a network of support around.
If anyone was watching this and the child was going for a diagnosis, is that the term, about maybe ADHD or whatever, would a doctor know that this was available?
No.
A GP?
Not generally, no.
Okay.
What the response, I have got now a number of doctors that have referred only because they hear what's happened to their patients. Their patients come in and they're like, whoa, my patient's completely changed. So they will refer, not directly because they're not allowed, because I'm not putting CCGs on their list, but they will say, look, I know of this organisation that does this. The only caveat you have to add, which I don't like, but you have to, is it doesn't work for everyone. It's seen it's still aired as a treatment, but actually it's training. The brain is trained. The child, the young person, adult trains their brain to the optimum level for them. But in my experience, it's been amazing. That's the only word, you know. It's been amazing to see people who couldn't leave the house, or children that are then able to go back to school, who then have confidence, who then don't have stomach problems, who aren't being sick in the morning, aren't having panic attacks.
And can we take meds away as well? Because that's one thing that I was reading.
Certainly working in conjunction with. That's why, you know, neurofeedback isn't supported as in the US because of the pharmas, you know, they don't want it because it takes, and don't get me wrong, medication has a place. But like I said, ADHD is the gold standard for treatment, and children can come off their medication in a lot of cases, which is just, why would you want to medicate a child with the side effects that are associated with the medication for ADHD? If you didn't have to, do you know what I mean? It's got to be worth it, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's what excites me. So in terms of exciting you, what's next, and what's next for the organisation? You've said you've been going a couple of years now. What's the plan? What does the future hold?
Yeah, well, at the beginning of lockdown, we put a deposit on some land to build our first centre. Sadly, everything's stopped, including fundraising. If I'm being really honest, it's about raising funds at the minute. We need donations, we really do. If this land, if it doesn't come off because we can't raise the money, then, you know, it doesn't stop us. We'll move forward and look for another piece of land. It would be really sad. It's a perfect plot. It's up beside the new hospital, and it's 3.5 acres. But
Newcastle, Sarah?
It's classed as Northumberland. It's just at the end, you know, where the new hospital is. But we'd cover all areas. Do you know? I mean, we have people who travel from Stockton to come to us, and further afield, actually. But if I'm being really honest, we need some support to be able to increase, because we're a small team, so we're limited. So I want more. I want to be able to, you know, go into schools, do this. I want to be able to have every child and adult to have the opportunity to access what we want to provide. And it's not just about neurofeedback. It might be about body therapy, it might be about hypnotherapy, it might be, because everybody's different. So it's about knowing it's not just my way, it's what does this person sitting in front of me need to help them.
I'm smiling here because you said I want, you want loads of things.
I do. I know it's so hard. Honestly, it's frustrating because I just want to see this happen, and it's not for me. It's for
I can say that.
I get quite emotional actually.
I can tell. Yeah. So you talk about fundraising. What about awareness, Sarah, as well? Because my question about the GPs know you're there. Maybe they don't. What can we do to help awareness of this?
Yeah, it's raising the awareness. It's following us on all our social media platforms. It's sharing our stories, which I know we're on board, and doing that in a way that's right as well. Because I think recently, certainly during COVID, we haven't done enough in that area to spread the word in the right way for me. So it needs to be out there, and take a donation box if you're open now. Take one of our donation box. We've got some great support. Even during lockdown, one of our local shops, they were fantastic because other charities stopped completely. So our little box was just I was going in every few weeks, and they've raised, I think it's called Select Convenience. I think they've raised over £800 for us just from these little donation boxes that we have, and going in and so take a donation box please if you can, and just support us in any way to get where we want to be.
Well, there's our Laura from Grace House, and there might be some synergy with Changing Minds and Grace House. Where can we follow you? So Twitter, Facebook, website.
Instagram. And don't forget the elderly in all this. I think that's one of the biggest things. I work with a lot of elderly, and if you think about the effects of COVID and isolation, the elderly have been living this way for years. They live in constant isolation, a lot of elderly people. And we work with looking at early interventions for dementia, working with some of the new technology that I'm bringing on board. And that's going to help with oxygenating the brain to help with early cognitive issues for clients. So that's coming in from America, and I'd love to come back on and show you. It's like this huge big headset that literally you have 2 electrodes, 2 little clips in the nose. You look like you've lit up like Rudolph, but it oxygenates the brain and helps with memory.
Can you do that with me?
I can.
If we go live.
I'll be doing it with me first.
I'll guinea pig it. It's fine.
I'll certainly, if you look online, I'll certainly, you can have that, and I'll just set you up, and we'll do that.
We'll go live. Before you go, pick up a penny. Tell me about that. What the name?
Minds with Pick Up a Penny came from my dad. If you watch our video, I know the brief one is, I know you'll be putting it out there, but the short version is on our website, and the longer version's on there as well. So my dad used to collect pennies. He had cancer, and he used to collect pennies that he found on the ground, or any change he found on the ground, and he donated to cancer research at the end of every year. So he'd end up finding about £30 a year in pennies and fives and all sorts he'd find. He's got macular degeneration, so he can't see now, so he picks up Smarties more likely than pennies. But so that's where the idea came from, and I said, what do you think, Dad? And he says, yeah, go for it. So I worked out if half the population found and donated a penny, it would raise something like 60 odd million, or a pound, it would raise 60 odd million pounds. So it's about, if you find pennies, and there's loads of them back out there, or down your car seats, anything that you don't want. Foreign currency, we take foreign currency, so old notes. Get in the house, everybody's got a drawer of them. My friends, they're like, I found pennies. It's great, and it's so good for children. They love it. So a lot of the schools that I've been in, certainly they have our donation boxes. So if you work in a school, they love it. So yeah, we get out there and talk about the pennies, and then they tell me their stories, which is lovely.
It's all about the stories, and I love some of yours, and thank you so much for sharing them today, Sarah. And I can't wait to be doing more stuff with you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Thank
So
you.
well done.
So much, Ian.
I don't know what's going on, but I've lost my camera again. So we'll remove Sarah. Sounds a bit brutal, doesn't it? We'll remove Sarah because I can see our friend in the green room. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Friend of the
Hello, good to
show.
see you.
Friend of the show, Ray Spencer, MBE.
You're breaking up a bit, Ian, this morning.
It's every time we go live. No, you know about this, Ray. You know you do plenty of live performances. Everything can go swimmingly, and then as soon as you go live, there's things can pop up unexpectedly.
At the moment, Ian, you're sounding like the late great Norman Collier,
really?
A comedian who did a routine where the microphone went off all the time, and
I remember.
That's what we've got at the moment. I thought Sara was absolutely fascinating. I think the work she's doing, anything that gets children off medication and stops their brain being able to engage fully, but it's always a little bit suppressed on these medications. My son, who has additional needs, when he had epilepsy, he was on 5 different drugs, and it basically meant he didn't get much out of life. And if you can get them off drugs and tackle it in a different way, fantastic. But our best of luck with the venue. It's obviously greatly needed for children and adults. What a great charity. He's gone again. So there's just me.
I've got you.
Oh, he's back.
Have you got me now?
I have, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can, thank you, Mother.
Am I doing me Norman Collier routine, or is it all right?
You're all right now. Yeah.
Good. I've just changed microphone. See, when you try to put too much tech in. Yes, I love that bit as well, Ray, about coming off meds as well. That was really, really interesting. And I met Sara a couple of months ago, or maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Amazing, absolutely. We've had some amazing chats, so I had to bring her on. And I'm looking for. I wanted to try this brain scan thing, and I know what you're going to say. They wouldn't find anything, but it sounds really interesting.
I think it's one of those conversations that you listen to and think, do you know, everybody could benefit from that.
Yeah,
you could
totally
train
agree.
your brain so you're not as full of anxiety, or train your brain to switch off from the day before you go to sleep and get quality sleep, because that'll do you better in the long run, particularly through what we've all gone through in the last more than 12 months. The idea of you taking back control of your thinking space, fantastic. It's something that was new to me, so I apologize for not knowing more about it, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think as Sara said, there are a lot of stuff coming from the States, a lot of research from the States, so hopefully she can bring that in.
Yeah. And it was it was from the Holland in the Netherlands.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sara said she'd work with somebody in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Right, let me,
Welsh.
because we had gremlins, as Laura has just said there, let me bring you in properly. I'm not going to kick you back out. I wouldn't kick you back out, but let you give a little introduction, because obviously you've joined us a few times, Ray, across the years. talking about the customs house, talking about lockdown. We've had a bit of fun in various places. And, you're a busy guy, and you're also the chair of, let me bring this in, the Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust. I'm gonna do this for you. Okay, I'm gonna give a bit of background to our viewers for you. On the 22nd of May, 2017, Chloe Rutherford and Liam Curry, girlfriend and boyfriend, totally in love, were murdered in the atrocity of the Manchester bombing at the Ariana Grande concert at the Manchester Arena. We as families have set up this trust to honour our kids through what they loved most and hope it inspires others to follow their dreams and achieve their goals in sport or performance. So I thought I'd just do that for you, Ray. Very emotive subject. That's why I thought I'd do it for you. Obviously, you're the chair of the trust. I wanted you to come on today and tell us all about it. I'm from South Shields. Liam and Chloe, obviously a very well-known South Shields business organisation, as is our next charity. Where do we start, Ray? What is the trust set up to do in Liam and Chloe's honour?
Well. First of all, I have to say that I do very little work. There are so many dedicated people who constantly raise money and raise profile of the Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust, not least of all the two families who are absolutely right centre, keeping the memory of two fantastic young people alive. And thanks to everybody who Sarah was mentioning about fundraising, but everybody who has continued to fundraise during the pandemic in all sorts of different ways. And the trust is really, really grateful for that. But I'm sure we'll touch on that a bit later. Basically, you had two young people, much in love, as you say, but with two gifted people. One was gifted in performance and loved singing. The other was a gifted sportsman, enjoyed cricket, played for Marsden, was up and coming, was the captain, it was a real Romeo and Juliet. They really enjoyed being together, but individually they were gifted in their own areas. So the families wanted to ensure that other young people could live out their dreams in a way that Chloe and Liam's were stolen from them. They were taken away. And through other people, their legacy will live on forever. And that's what we want. We're very lucky as a charity that we can drive past the Chloe and Liam bench, which was created in their memory. And it's kind of the focal point for us to remember them. Not that their friends and family ever forget, but for the community, this bench that's there in front of the town hall is a focal point to remember birthdays, to remember Christmases, to remember the actual anniversary of that horrific terrorist attack. And through the money that's raised, we're changing lives for other people. We're opening the door for other people who mightn't otherwise be able to follow their dreams. And that's what it's about. It's a very simple aim. And if you want to know what best sums it up for me, if you ever, or if anybody's ever been in St. Peter and Paul's primary school, which is where Liam's mum taught. If you go in there, there is a stained glass window. It's dedicated to Chloe and Liam. It's beautiful. But on the sides of that, the stained glass, which was created with an artist, and it's all of the ambitions and dreams of the children who created it, what they want to be in life. And it's all there before you. And if you want to know what we're doing, we're going to try and make all of those dreams and ambitions come true in the best way we can. And that's basically what the trustees who do such a great job are charged with doing. And mostly that's giving financial assistance to people to make doors open for them.
Fantastic. And is this directed at young people, Ray, in terms of the assistance?
Up to 25.
Up to 25.
But sometimes it's not an individual that we're supporting. For example, one of the best things I think that the trust has done is bought a boxing ring. You know, Horsley Hill needed a new boxing ring, and the trust helped that happen. Now that will help hundreds of young people, both be fit mentally and physically, and occupied in a positive fashion, and the trust was able to do that with the help of everybody who supports it. So sometimes there was another place where we helped them buy a minibus, because although they in the wilds of Wani where they lived, they had to go everywhere to compete, to be part of, and the easiest way for them to do that was in a minibus. So the trust helped with a minibus for them. So it's sometimes a specific bit of equipment. Sometimes it's money just to get somewhere for an individual. Sometimes we start funding people. I'm reminded of a girl called Rachel Armstrong, who I think 17, but I can't remember, which is from Barden Mill, hardly the most connected place in the world. But we helped her go off and do ballet training. And that same girl from Barden Mill is joining the Bolshoi Ballet in Russia. So she's going over to Russia to join their academy. I mean, that's amazing. Now, I'm not saying she wouldn't have got there without the trust, but certainly the trust helped that dream come true. And that's what the trust does. I think even during lockdown, if my fellow trustees will tell me off if I've got these figures wrong, but even during lockdown, I think we've still managed to support 36 people at a time, like Sarah was saying, when all the fundraising events we were trying to do were very difficult to organize. But we still managed to help 36 people, and we've helped a lot more since the trust was set up, and we've got a lot more to help as well.
It's interesting. Now, Laura's saying this is giving me goosebumps, and you know, I think hearing from the individual stories and hearing where the financial assistance gone, that really focuses donations rate. So is that something that the charity really leans into, to try to say, here's where the money's going, here's what we've supported?
Yeah, absolutely. The Facebook page, which is kept up to date with those people we have supported, which Mark organises, Mark Rutherford, he keeps everything up to date all the time, and so you can read stories about those people that we've supported on a regular basis. And we love to get stories back. And you know, the people that we do help, so we give them an amount of money, but so many of them will say, oh, by the way, I got £500 from this place, so I don't need that £500, so I'm giving it back to you now. And in the world we live in, it's just so lovely to hear those genuine stories. And the same people will go on and raise money and send it back to the trust, which will help more young people. So our dream as a trust is that we will have an Olympic champion that was supported by Chloe and Liam, and we will have a West End star or movie star or singing star that was helped by the trust. And that would be what we all want from the trust, and for that individual to carry the message on, people achieving the unachievable. Really, really pleased for them.
That would be wonderful. And there's still time for us, Ray, you know?
There is time. and well, you know, they say, don't they, that 60 is the new 40. And what I would say, now that I am over 60, is that midnight is now 10 o'clock for me, because I fall asleep by the time midnight. So yeah, we haven't got. Thank goodness that there are harder working trustees than me, because I never have energy for anything. And of course, the big day, the Pink and Blue Day, which is commemorates that when the horrible attack took place, but is also a key fundraising day for the Trust, Pink and Blue Day. And you see pink and blue adorned shops and cars and windows, and people make everything from pink and blue ice cakes to ribbons and flags that you can fly from your car, ribbons you can fly from your car. So we all make a statement in the borough that we're right behind. And even if you're not from the borough, please wear pink and blue on 22nd of May to remember Chloe and Liam, but also the other people who were murdered at Manchester Arena. We must never forget. And I know the rest of the trustees have massive admiration for the Curry family and the Rutherford family, because they have taken this. I can't imagine the pain and angst and sorrow and everyday hurt that they face and have done for 4 years now. And they took that and turned it, despite the evil that's in the world, they turned it into something so positive, so right, so concrete as a way of helping people, that the positive memories of Chloe and Liam will outweigh those horrendous days of grief and loss, because they are doing such good things for so many people. It's so wonderful what they're doing, and their energy never stops. Honestly, the families just drive on and drive on and drive on, and they won't be happy until we have at least one Olympian, at least one Formula One driver, at least one gymnast, at least a movie star and a TV star and a West End star. But along the way, we will help people in lots of other ways. And the ways it can help, aren't the small things can make such a big difference. Like there was one, I can't remember the discipline that he was in, but he was he needed a special wheelchair to take part in the sport, and he had his own wheelchair. And when he flew anywhere, it was a real burden because he had to pay extra to have an extra wheelchair, and the trust were able to help with that. A small thing, but a massive difference, because it allowed them to compete internationally. And whether it's a saddle, we get asked for things like saddles, or we get asked for things like, those competitive bow arrows that you see. Archery, that's the word.
Archery,
so expensive. And if you're a child, as we all know with shoes, for example, if you're a child, you go through equipment very quickly as you grow, and that can be a real burden on families. Well, we're able to help with that. So small interventions can have very big positive outcomes.
Well said, totally agree. And just going back to the Pink and Blue Day, May 22nd race, so it's coming up very soon. What in terms of fundraising then, is that key to the trust? Is there anything, I know we talked there with Sara earlier, drawing down like kind of lottery funding and things like that. Does the trust solely provide offer assistance through personal finance, donations, or can you draw anything down?
At the moment, it is the whole of Chloe and Liam's pot of money that we spend has come from people supporting us.
Okay.
Has come from events, and in a year when we weren't socially distanced and allowed to meet, there would be golf days, there would be football match, there would be a cricket match, there'd be the big dinner which many charities have, and which the Hilton supports, because Chloe and Liam used to work at the Hilton in Gateshead. So those big events were shut down, like everywhere else, just shut down, couldn't do. But they're coming back on now. So I know the golf day is being organised. I know that say a better chair would have the dates right in front of us, but I haven't. But the golf day has been organised, and we will be having an event at the Customs House when we have a sort of variety show, which people come along to support, and then the dinner will happen later this year, we hope. I haven't got the date exactly in front of me, so those things are starting to tick over. But for now, you can. I always see online where people are doing blind cards for Chloe and Liam and paying the money, or people are doing those cake baits that I mentioned. And recently, I mean, Glenn Rowe, who is married into the family. Well, he's part of the family. Sorry, I shouldn't say he's married into it. He is part of the family. So Glenn, Uncle Glenn, he's been doing 500 miles for £500. He's been running 500 miles over the lockdown, and people like Dan Wales been doing marathons, or Big Pink Dress. They've all piled in and been doing lots of running, and the money they raise all comes into the Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust.
Fantastic stuff. So how can we get involved, Ray? How can anyone watching this
importantly, because it's really lovely for the family to know that people remember. So importantly, on the 22nd of May, put something pink and blue, put it in your car window, or fly it from your aerial, or put it in put it in your shop window. But say, hey, we remember, we care, we're here to support you, because we're very good at doing that in this community. So please do that. Please watch out for the events that we're going to be putting online. The Facebook is the place to go. The Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust Facebook is got all the information on. And if you visit our website, it refers you to the Facebook as well. In your own workplace, in your own family, you could do a little bit of fundraising. Make cakes and force the family to eat them. And send it all through to Chloe and Liam Together Forever Trust, and we'll make a difference to young people in the Northeast that wouldn't otherwise be able to follow their dreams and aspirations. And in doing that, we will forever allow the memory of Chloe and Liam to grow and be positively remembered for all of the good they have done for other young people.
Well said, sir. And just before you go, if there was anyone watching who might want to maybe apply for assistance, again, is that through the Facebook channel?
Yeah, if you go on the website, or you go Facebook, it's a very simple form to fill in. We are not meeting as regularly. We've not been able to meet as regularly as we have, but and we may have not be taking applications at the moment because we're not able to meet. But still, go on, look at the form, understand it, and then submit it when we're retaking them. And they might even say now, again, I should know this, it might even say now that we've started taking the applications, but I think we stopped taking them for a while until we built our funds up again, because we haven't, like everybody else, been able to raise very much during lockdown.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, Ray, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for everything that you do for Chloe and Liam, and to the families as well. My best wishes. And being a sand dancer, it's just fantastic to drive past the bench and see it there, and as you say, not forget those two beautiful young people. So thanks, Ray. Hope to see you very soon, maybe at the Customs House.
Pleasure, and enjoy the rest of your live stream. I hope your microphone hangs in there.
I was going to say, let's go back and hang on in there. Cheers, Ray. See you soon.
Thanks very much, Ian. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There you go. There was Ray. So that's 2 out of 3. Right. In the green room, I can see my friends sitting there ready to go. Not feeling nervous at all. So let me do a little bit of an introduction. Actually, do I need to do one? Does everyone not know Sarah and Christopher Cookson. Getting used to.
Hi, Ian, you all right?
Hello.
The parents of Charlie and Carter from the Charlie and Carter Foundation. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too. Fantastic job so far, by the way. I'll get that in.
Well, I keep my laptop keeps dying, my microphone keeps going off. It's flying by the seat of your pants stuff. This live, carry on, but you know.
Yeah. But I think it was lovely to see the last two that we've seen on. You know, I think both causes in their own right are equally as important as each other. And it's good to know that there's people out there who are doing things within certain areas. It was lovely to listen to both the last two. It was absolutely fantastic to listen to. And obviously with regards to our charity, anything kind of in the future, if we're able to help each other out, kind of work with each other, I think that's what's also key about. We do what we do, but also it's kind of helping other charities benefit from what we do if that option ever came available, and kind of helping each other grow, basically.
Yeah, I think we've got amazing people in South Tyneside and beyond. You know, I think we're just like one huge family, and everybody does everything they can just to support all the causes that we've got in the Northeast.
Well said, you two. Collaborations, everyone's collabing now. We could do a collab, but and the reason why I said, you know, do I need to give you an introduction is because the likes of the Charlie and Carter Foundation, the likes of Chloe and Liam, you know, these are very big names in our town, our borough in the Northeast, and it is very emotive when we talk about the why, the reasons behind the organisations, and I didn't want to do the disservice of trying to give you the introduction, because it's got to come from you two. Okay, it has to come from you two, the parents of Charlie and Carter. So I'd like you, if you don't mind, to kind of set the scene and kind of wind us back to the beginning and the why we're here.
Yeah, I think it starts from 2011 with us. Basically, when Charlie was born, we knew something wasn't quite right when he was born, but nothing kind of prepared for how it was going to turn out.
You just kind of think you're going to be normal parents. You know, we went in. I mean, I had a football game the day before, and we went in. You don't think, well, I finished that football game and think, right, tomorrow is a due date. We're going to the hospital. We're going to be giving birth. Sarah's going to give birth. You know, and we're going to come home and we're going to have that life that many other parents out there have and want. You know, and that's what we thought things were going to be.
Yeah, and I think just one thing after another kind of just rollerballed. It was kind of suspected meningitis, and then brittle bone disease, and something wrong with the brain, where you had to have brain biopsies. And I think a lot of the families that we support are all starting in the same circumstances, where it's a shock. I think, well, why is this happening? And you get the sort of, you go through all the emotions of why us, why did this happen to us?
We got to share that quite a lot with the hospital, with the families who were in we call SCUBU, special care. Sorry.
Just the alarm for the gas.
Which is special care baby unit, you know, and we would personally want no parent to ever go through that. It's an absolutely awful life, and what the hospital does, they do their job, but it's the emotions that you're going through. And when we had Charlie back in 2011, and to be told in the first couple of hours, you know, you need to start expecting the worst, you know, we don't know what something's wrong, we're going to run some tests, and then when you get put into special care baby unit, and then when you go from we've got like a colour, when you get put in the red, which is the worst, you know, then you know it's not good. And especially when you're being told constantly things are bad, meningitis, you know, your Ben's got brittle bones, he's got deformities, when they can tell his ear was offset, his eyes were offset, and these are all little indications to doctors and consultants that something's wrong, or the genetic makeup hasn't been formed properly. To a parent, you don't want to listen to it. You just want to, the last thing in your mind, you hear the doctors and consultants telling you this, but honestly, you don't take it in, and it's not because you don't want to take it in; it's because you don't want to believe it. And that's that's the hardest part. And you're doing everything to think, no, and tomorrow's gonna be a good day. We're going to get out. We're going to be going home. We're going to get. And that day for us never came. And I think it got worse and worse for us over the 2.5 years. And especially with Charlie, who we'll talk about Carter next, we went through horrendous times in the house. We had to save his life 4 times because with regard to Charlie, his muscle tone was so weak. And a lot of bands who need support in chairs or beds because the muscle tone's weak. Now, because his muscle tone was so weak, when I'm sick or you're sick, Ian, or anybody else there is sick, your body's got the muscle power or the muscles inside to get the sick up and out, and it comes out your mouth. With Charlie, he didn't have that muscle tone, so the sick would come halfway and it'd go into his lungs, and it's like drowning. We had to basically save his life 4 times on our living room floor to keep him alive until he was taken to hospital and he was ventilated. And then that's a whole path you're going down, because every time you get ventilated, your body gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And that was the hardest part of us, was living that life. You know, with God to Charlie, he couldn't sit up, he couldn't fix and follow, he couldn't feed, his muscle tone didn't work, he was having constant seizures, he needed medication every couple of hours in the night time. And you know, we lived that life, and it was a horrendous life, but that's the life that we had. And from time to time, every day we would do physio, and we're paid for physio. And what made our days were if you read a book and you got a bit of a smile, or you tickled his feet and he got a bit of a leg movement. Now, these are such small things, but for a parent who's in that life, that child who's going through that, these are big things. And we still had hope, you know, we're still until the very last day, we never give up hope that something may turn around for her, and we might have actually came out at the end of the tunnel. And we didn't, you know. And when we lost Charlie in 2013, it killed her, and it was like it would kill any parent at all. And I think that's what makes a charity more personal for us.
Yeah, I think it sounds, well, it is quite a horrific life to live. And the sad thing is that you've got the families that we support are still living this kind of life. And I think it's when it becomes a day-to-day norm when we are doing these kind of things, when you've got the physio, when you know you did used to turn blue and would have to kind of get into hospital. It's normal everyday life for a lot of the families that we have to support. Now, we obviously started the Charlie Cookson Foundation back then because among all this huge care and love that we give Charlie was also the life that you had to kind of keep for him, for you, so you could keep a roof above your head. I remember my mum set up the market stall, and that was 2012 or maybe 2011. Just to help us with the bills, because you know this is where people have built their life up to have the lovely home with their child, and kind of all falls around them, and they've got these expected bills to pay and no support. We found we could get support for chairs and things like that, but the nitty gritty, me and Chris would love a chair for him, but would also like to have a house for him, because it come to the point where, you know, we used to get the red letters and how we're going to pay the mortgage this month, and it kind of hits home with the pandemic situation that we've just got through, thinking I can't kind of get how people feel right now with not having a job and things like that. It's very hard. Yeah,
you do, because when you are caring for your child, you're offering 24/7 care. I work 1 day a week, and I keep my job going, and then 1 day a week Sarah was off, and you try to keep her dancing going as much as possible to limited hours. But at the end of the day, your child needs you more. Now, when you're not working, you're not bringing money in. You know, unfortunately, your bills don't stop. Your bills, you're still got to pay your gas, your electric, your mortgage, your heating bill, your electric bill. And the worst thing is, you're in the house more, so these utilities are getting used more. Yeah. And that's when we came up with what we thought would be the best kind of offer that we could help families from the life that we lived. Because you don't get the money in, you're not getting paid, you haven't got a job, but you still got to pay your bills. And a lot of families we help, they're getting crippled because they can't afford to pay the bills, but it's what you do. Your child needs a house. You need to be kept warm. You need food. You need electric. You need all these things, but you can't pay your bills, and that's what was so hard. And that's what we see with a lot of families that we help. Is that's what hits them the worst.
It's that mental state of mind as well, and I know a lot of around the last year or so, the stress that people have been under, of the worry of their jobs, and it always takes me back to the time that we would be so stressed. I remember Charlie being in intensive care, and me and Chris filling out forms to try and get my mortgage covered when really my child was on a ventilator, and obviously it would be COVID. I think people would be looking at their loved ones with COVID in that situation, and it does, having the financial worry and having the absolute heartache of wondering if your child's going to survive this day makes you think, how on earth does a parent survive? So we knew, obviously, when we lost Charlie, he was so loved by South Shields and beyond. You know, he had a name that we had to do something with, and a soul that we had to do something with. And, you know, for him, for his bravery, we had to keep pushing to help others in this situation. So we couldn't make the child better, but we could certainly relieve the pressures that they were feeling on the financial side. And we didn't want it to just be sort of £50 here. We wanted it to be an impact, which did set with quite a high bar to reach fundraising wise, but we knew that we had the passion and the drive to do it for him and for the families. And, you know, we're in the 80s of these families, and the support goes, you know, it's £3,000 per family. It's a lot of money. And since we set it up, we also support the families on the bereavement side. So when they do lose their child, they do also get financial support from within. And sadly, the longer the charity goes on, the more children will lose. So the bereavement cost to the charity is sadly going up as well.
So actually, the bills is what we pay, and it's them daily bills that we're trying to give the families a bit of a help to kind of take a step back and do what they should be doing, is taking care of their child. And our main goal is that they can kind of create a memory or a set of memories, or do something that they may not have a chance to do before it's too late. We hate using the word too late, but a lot of these families, that's how they do live their lives. You don't know how things are going to be. You don't know how things are going to change. You don't know when the last day. You don't know if today is the last day they're going to wake up the child. Now we don't want the families thinking like that. So we'll say, listen, for 3 months we're going to pay your bills. We're going to pay your gas. We'll pay your mortgage. We'll pay your electricity. We'll pay your food bills. You know, up to £3,000 for a 3-month period. We'll help you with your mortgage. Just go and spend time with your child. You know, maybe have that first holiday. Maybe do something that you've never had a chance to do. Spend time. You know, in every family that we've helped so far, 70, we're 80 odd. They've all done something different with that break, that little period when they haven't had to pay the daily bills, and that's the most important thing to us. Now, if someone said to us when we had Charlie, we're going to give you 3 months off your bills, up to £3,000, that would have been a huge weight off our shoulders. And you'll never understand that unless you're actually living the life that we lived, and living the life that the families who are going through the same situation right now live. And I really hope anybody watching this never has to live that life, because it's a hard life. But we're here to try and make things a little bit easier. And we don't even get you to get the families who help to do it. We contact the companies, we contact the mortgage and put them in credit. We'll contact the electric companies and put them in credit. We'll pay their electric bills. We'll pay the gas bills. And you know, if your bill is coming to £2,900, and whatever your local supermarket is, we'll throw £100 in vouchers down for that supermarket just to make up the £3,000. But it's we've got some lovely feedback of the families who've helped, and we've really changed a lot of families' lives. There's a lot of stories we could tell you, but we can't mention for names, etc. But we've changed a lot of families' lives, and we've really helped families going through their darkest times.
It's the relationship as well, which, you know, it just put us straight on, you know, the mom and dad. So I think we've kind of summed Charlie up for you. I think.
Well, if I just go back to the kind of the early days of the foundation, Sarah, because you mentioned there that your mum was on the market doing, trying to raise a little money or whatever, bric-a-brac and stores and market stores. I know how she hustles still. When was the foundation officially set up then?
We officially started to fundraise. It was pretty much the week after Charlie passed away, because it was all planned. Because it was originally, money was being raised for an extension for us to have a downstairs living for Charlie. We got some help from obviously the council, but we needed extra to make it the way that we needed to be. So a bit bigger, so me and Chris could stay downstairs with him rather than us being up and Charlie being down. So it was all in place, and at that point we thought, right, we are going to keep going, raise this money for people just like us. The money has gone to people who kind of, well, we've got one family who was going up and down, it was about 6 flights of stairs, and there were like concrete stairs going up to our flat, which was a home. And she had to do that every day because the council refused to move her because she had arrears to the council of £2,000. Now we cleared that, and within sort of weeks she was moved to a downstairs bungalow with a garden, which
access as well.
Yeah, which had better access for her, and it meant that she didn't have to take the child out of the house. She could just go in the garden for that little bit of quality time. Because that would have been hard, because a child of sort of a disability, they weigh twice as much as when they're in your arms, because they can't hold their own weight. So that mum was feeling it physically, mentally, and to be able to give her a bit of light at the end of that tunnel was just amazing for that.
We've had families as well whose child was in hospital long term, and they weren't able to pay their bills, the rent, I think it was. And then they're going to lose their property. Now, no family should have that worry of not having somewhere to go back to. So we got involved, and we basically, I think we paid them their rent. The guy, then the couple contacted with, and says, I'm not in the house for my bills, my gas, my electric, because I'm living in hospital, but I'm going to lose my property unless I pay the rent. So we extended that, and then we paid their rent for about 7 months. And it's the same equivalent of the same amount of money, but that's what that family needed. And that family left hospital with a roof over that child's head, and that was important to us. We also had a family who had a holiday for the first time. Now they may never get a holiday again, but they've created their memories. But I mean, get back to the markets. I think where you first started off with, the market was the very first initial kind of
fundraising, wasn't it?
Starting off pillar. It started off in our breakfast bar table just next door in the kitchen, and that's where it started off. And then we had some good friends who had offices, and we started using their offices within his company just to have a meeting basically for the trustees who started the charity off. And we kind of grew the charity from there, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Unfortunately, some trustees have had to move on. We've had other trustees have come in, but that is going to happen. We wish everybody was still with us, but people's lives go in slightly different directions, so we have to fully understand that. But we started off with a market stall and a breakfast bar table, and we've now got a shop, we've got an office. The market is still going. The girls in the market, there's 5 of them. I think the combined age is about 284. But you know what it is? They're there every Friday from 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. South Tyneside Council is fantastic with us. The lads who run that market down there on a Friday, it's part of South Shields. The lads do a brilliant job. They're friendly. They've got a lot of respect for each other. They respect all the market traders. And when you see the market traders down there as well, they're brilliant. But the girls love it. They're down there and they're bringing in some fantastic money. But they do it because it's so important for Diane, because she would have been Charlie's nana. And the other ladies who are down there as well have been volunteers since day one. And it's incredible. But they are older. But my God, they can sell in that market. You can never say age.
You tell boys.
You can't say age. back and sell in the market, because these girls are absolutely fantastic, and they are the heart of where this charity started, and they're still there now as well.
So the foundation then started in Charlie's name, changing lives, helping similar families going through tough times with financial assistance, and then Charlie's brother Carter comes along.
And I think what was hard is when you decide to, I think going through what we went through originally, you would think, and rightfully so, it could stop a lot of families from wanting to try again, and I fully understand that. Before I had Charlie, I didn't understand that, but now I do. I can kind of understand why some parents may not want to try again, out of maybe the fear. But yeah, it took us 5 years to try again, and it took a long time. And I think we thought everything was all right. I mean, first of all, they did all, just to go at Charlie slightly, they did all the tests on me and Sarah as well. So genetically, there's nothing wrong. There's no reason why me and Sarah couldn't have kids. They did every single test on us at the life center of life. So there's no reason why me and Sarah couldn't have had children together, kind of genetics wise or gene wise, whichever way you want to put it. If they turn around to us and says, right, you've got a certain gene, you're a carrier, you've got this, physically together, once you have children, it's not going to work because the genes are going to cause abnormalities or something like that. That would have stopped us, but they said there's no reason why you two can't have kids. So that's why we tried again after 5 years. And I think we had hope. And I think from a male point of view, I don't think I fully kind of understood maybe what Sarah was going through, being the person who carried Charlie. And I think as a bloke, I didn't appreciate that, you know. And maybe there's other lads out there, if they ever need to talk, they could just give us a ring. We don't fully understand that because we don't carry the child. We are the child's dad. So I think Sarah went through it a lot harder, or should I say the woman goes through it a lot worse, being the carrier of the child. But after 5 years, we thought everything was going to be all right. And I think we had the same hope, and we had the same praise. And Boxing Day was going to be the day when Carter was going to come back to us. And
Charlie. Always get the two.
No, Carter, Boxing Day.
Oh yeah, but yeah. Charlie wasn't going to come back. We also
would have Carter, and you know would be a chance to be a family again. And I had Christmas Day on my own, but I don't think I slept because I knew on Boxing Day I could go down because Sarah's going to go into planned on going into labour, and everything was planned. You know, we had the whole house set up. The nursery was ready. Everything was there. The cots were up. The room was decorated, and we went down for labour for 12 o'clock. Still think everything's going to be all right. Sarah's going to be put open. A C-section. Sarah's going to be a C-section, and you know it is. And we come after 12 o'clock. We're going to be a family. We're going to be a family again. And I had to go outside because of C-section. I wasn't allowed to stay in the theatre room. And I always remember about 20 past 12. I heard him cry, and I think that was the biggest shock because we never heard Charlie cry or Charlie make a noise. And I think that's what really kind of thought, like, we're there, you know, everything's going to be okay. And remember, went through into the recovery room because it was a C-section. Sarah had a lot more medication than what you would have normally have if it was a normal birth. And I remember getting the chance to hold him. I think in that room was the only time I ever held Carter, and it was until about 10:30 at night. He hadn't been taking his milk. He was bringing it up, and we thought he had to be on a heat pad because he wasn't getting his temperature or sustaining his temperature. And in the back of mine and Sarah's head, we kind of knew something wasn't well. We thought something wasn't right from the life that we lived with Charlie. He was nasal flaring, which Charlie did because he couldn't breathe properly. He was recessing as well, and it was all these little bits that kind of in the back of my mind was kind of going, right, something's not right here,
Yeah,
but you don't want to.
In the back of your mind, you're still trying to think, how will it kind of happen again? kind of like again, you had that. It's like a devil and an angel on your shoulder, isn't it? You've got the one thing, and this is not normal. Then you've got the other one saying, "How we have a bit of faith." Maybe they're just looking at things a little bit too much. But like Chris says, 10:30 at night, that's when it all kind of crumbles.
I think at that point, Sarah was still quite heavily sedated. She doesn't remember a lot what went on. What I do remember is we had to took him through for an NG tube because he hadn't been taking milk all day. And this was now about 11 o'clock maybe. I mean, I'll apologise if the time was incorrect. Right now, I can't. Everything was just up in the air right now. I wasn't even thinking about times, if I'm completely honest. But I remember going through for an NG tube, and the registrar from Special Care Baby Unit must have been called to come through and put the NG tube down, or maybe just to have a look at Carter. And she literally just took one look and she waked them away. So my head just spun. I don't know what was going on. Next thing I know, I was rushed into Special Care Baby Unit. And I think me and Sarah didn't see each other for about 24 hours. Because at that point in time, about an hour and a half later, they found problems with his heart. And they found complications with his heart. They did like an echo on his heart. And they kind of told us what was wrong with the heart. But they didn't know too much until they started delving into it a lot more. And it wasn't until the next day we got told, right, you're being transferred to Freeman Hospital, who's the specialist for hearts, especially within children. And we got rushed through there, and I think it was the next night, we basically got told we needed a heart transplant. Now, what we can never understand as well is with Charlie, nothing worked within Charlie, and it's so hard, and we'll never understand how. But the only thing that worked in Charlie was his heart, and then Carter came along. Now everything worked, and the only thing in Carter that didn't work was his heart. We needed a heart transplant, and from then on, it was a fight against time. We did everything that we could to get our message out there to try and find a heart for Carter. It was such a hard task because for us to find a heart for Carter would have been another baby would have lost their life. But we did as parents, and I'm sure other parents watching this will know that you would do anything to find a heart for your child. And if I could have given my heart, he would have had it straight away, but you're so small that this was the process. And then the next 20
it was just a small avenue, wasn't it, for that, for the size of him, for that heart to become available, because we knew everything about undiagnosed children and how to deal with them. And then me and Chris were welcomed to this whole new world of organ donation, which due to our medical history knowledge of Charlie was something that we had never known about, even to the point where I thought you would get a heart and fabulous, your life will go on, but sadly that's not the case. And 9 times out of 10, by sort of 10 years down the line, they'll be needing another heart. So
we got introduced to something called an Ecmo Machine, which is basically your body doesn't have to work for itself, and this machine does the job of your lungs and your heart, and it pumps the blood through your body. It's a fantastic machine, and I still don't fully understand exactly what it did, but 90% I did, and I knew it was keeping Carter alive. And in that time, we were trying to find a heart, and the longer things went on, the more the consultants took you aside, and you have that sickening feeling. And I understand why the consultants have to do it. They take you to the side room. Now, when you go into the side room, it's normally not good news, and you kind of this thing, right? But then you kind of get toughened up to it, and you kind of know you're going there, you've been through this before, and you get going told. And then we found out that the organs were starting to fail, because the longer you're on this Ecmo machine, you can't be on the Ecmo machine for long periods of time. I think they were even saying like 14 days, maybe 3 weeks max. Your body's not meant to be on a machine for this long. And the further it went on, the worse things got for us. And they were saying these organs are failing now, certain levels are going up, which says his kidney's not working, his liver's not working, he's not getting rid of urea. and that was really hard. And I think it just kept on hitting win, but we still tried. We still tried to get on with every media who would talk to it, who were fantastic, by the way, just to try and get our message out there, to try and save our boy's life, like any parent would do. I think it came to the second. I think it was the last day, which was a Friday, and I think we were up there all day, and we started reading a book to Carter. The only thing you could do is read a book. You hope he would hear your voice. And we started reading that book, and I remember we were on about 200 pages long, and I think we were on a page about 100. And on the Friday night, the consultants basically spoke to us, and they didn't say too much, but we knew what avenue they were going down. We knew that we didn't have long left. We knew that things were coming to an end, and that they were going to ask us to make a decision on whether we feel it is in Carter's best interest to keep him alive. And I think the hardest part is no parent should never go through that, but we knew a lot of organs weren't working. We knew he was getting weaker. When we seen his face, he was losing a lot of weight, and you have to kind of choose to do you do it for you, or do you do it for your child?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. What should you do for that? And I think we had to do what was right for Carter, not for us. We regret every day, which you do, but we had to do it
at that stage. I think it was everything that would have helped the heart work would not be healthy enough to help the heart work, and even if we did find a match, it would reject because the body wasn't in a good enough state. And I think the only thing we can kind of positively take out is we do know the publicity that me and Chris did at that time, which was really hard to do, did save a few little babies. And I think there was a few hearts arrived around the time of Carter, which we know some of those babies are still going now. They're thriving, and I think that's a huge positive to take out of something. And I think it's one of those things. It's here we are again in this situation of they just want to play together upstairs. And
it was a Saturday, and it was the Saturday morning, and I remember we got a phone call off a big media source who asked to do a live interview, and that was the only interview we ever turned down. And because that day we read the last 100 pages of that book, and then we had to say goodnight for the last time, and that was the last day that we seen Carter. But it was the right thing for his body, and that's what a lot of parents are going through now. And I think me and Sarah is, if anybody ever want to speak to us about that, we're not here as counsellors. We're not professionals. We can't offer you what the consultants offer you. We can't offer you what the doctors offer you. We can't offer what social workers offer you. But we can offer you a person to talk to who's been through what you're going through, and they can talk to us at any point in time. And that was our second child that we lost. And you'll see from the pictures both there, they're both different boys, but yet they're almost spitting doubles of each other. At that point in time, I think Charlie was about a year and a half old, and Carter would have been about 20 days old. But they were almost identical of each of them, coming back 5 years apart. And I think that's how we started the Charlie and Carter Foundation, in Carter's honour as well. So we like to think that we try and change families' lives who got children who have life-limiting conditions. In Charlie's name, in Carter's name, we do what we can to promote kind of organ donation and encourage it for both boys, and that's what the charity does now. It covers covering two areas in both our boys' names. And like Sarah says before, I can only hope that both our boys are playing together. I always say I want to have a good word with Charlie one day, and why he took his brother, and why we couldn't have him. But he can give me that answer at some point in time in the future. I've got no plans on going anywhere right now. But I do need that. I would like to have that question answered one day. But I can only hope that both our boys are playing together, pain-free, with no problems at all. And I think that's the only kind of, that's what we hope for now.
I think they do like the show with the signs that they are playing with us as well as them up there. They are quite clever, but I think
that's lovely. Yeah, and you know what? In the boys' names, obviously, you mentioned there at the top of the conversation, 80 odd families right now.
Yeah.
Who have had that financial assistance, who've had their lives changed, and thanks so much for sharing that so eloquently. I've just shut up and everyone's just listened, and you know that's why I wanted you both on today to share that. And you know, people will be working right now. People might be able to get onto this, but it'll be there. It'll be shared, and it'll be on social for people to watch that back and hear that journey that you've both been on. Because I think we know of the foundation. It's there. It's a big name in South Shields, but you know, maybe not everybody knows the full story, or maybe not everybody knows how you both felt during that time. And that was very emotional to hear that. You shared a lot of your thoughts. So taking that now, okay, in the boys' name, what's next? What do you want to do?
Oh, bigger and better, even bigger.
I think during COVID it's been hard because we haven't been getting events in. We haven't been, the retail shop has been shut. We've still had to pay our rates and our rent for the shop in the office, but we've still been supporting families. We've made sure that we're still supporting the fact that a family a month, and we're still going. That's why we're up to the number that we are now. We're glad that, I'm glad I'm glad the government and everyone involved who has done the right thing to stop COVID in its tracks. I'm glad we've done that, and now we're almost back to a normal way. But the events are coming back on again for us, and that's what's most important. We need to try and recoup a lot of money. We've been forking out, but we haven't been getting the money in. We've got a lot of events coming up, a lot of yearly events, which is great. It's great for the charity. Events are moving forward. The shop's back up and running again on Farrar Street. Jackie and the retail team are doing a phenomenal job. The girls in the market team on a Friday are back there. They're doing a fantastic job. We just need to try and get the events back up. We've got a lot of events going on right now.
We've done a lot of activity throughout, mainly through businesses who can support who are going. We've had, you know, August have been amazing. We've had Deck and Supply. They've done a massive, that was a huge sort of garden prize. We did it to raise funds for that. Anything that we could try and raise, £50 here, £100 there, we were trying our best to keep that coming in. But we've also had, what's going on now, Andy Robertson, who's some form of Superman machine, is the only way I can describe him.
He started there from Land's End and John O'Groats, but he's doing it off-road, not on-road, but I think it was on day 10. His legs just gave way, and he was literally walking at 2 miles an hour. So I think he got about 300 miles in. He's running it to start with. And you know, the guy's determination to do it, he rang us, he rang where, and he says, my legs are gone. I can't even walk. What I'm doing, I'm getting my bike sent down. So now he's been biking it. Now he's just past Scotland, and now he's just throwing swimming into the mix. So he's now swimming across the locks as well. And I think he's got 2 or 3 days left. He's raised about £10,000 so far, which is phenomenal.
He smashed his target, but he's still pushing for more. He still would love it to go further.
Yeah. Any kind of fundraising or no donations towards him, it's on our page. The lads, he's put himself through the worst thing possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he can't even walk for a month after this, but his determination, because he knows he's raised £10,000, doesn't want to let anybody down. It's called.
Is that on the Facebook page?
Yeah, the Facebook page. Andy's the jog 40 from 40. It was his 40-year midlife crisis. I think he's putting his wife through it. You know, she's at home, she's a nervous wreck. But he's doing that now, so he's keep on going. He plans on coming off the bike for the last couple of days and seeing if his legs will take him. but it's still a phenomenal task. And being injured, how he was, we've got the big ball coming up in
October.
In October.
23rd. Fingers crossed. We just hope, because we massively missed it. It's one of the best nights ever. Everybody who comes has. It's hilarious. You cry, you laugh, you appreciate everything. It's just one of those nights that makes you feel amazing when you leave. So I know the tickets are being reserved, and I know we're past a reserved mark, and we've had to kind of say to the Hilton, we're going to go higher this year. So please, if you are interested in the bowl, please get in touch with us via Facebook and see if there's any tickets available. They're not expensive tickets, they're only £45, because we would rather you spend the money on the night on the fundraising, or even if we get somebody who decides to do the Great North Run for women who paid £45 a ticket. To us, that's more, they're aware of the charity more, and they'll probably raise more money doing the Great North Run than would sort of paying £45 for the ticket. So I
think the great feedback from the last one I had was there's a couple, she had a business, and they said, they pay £200 a ticket. They don't have anywhere near as much fun. She said, I've never sat down my whole time from starting to the last event. She says, there's been something going on. It's been entertaining. I've laughed. I've cried. I've had fun. That's what the night's about. We don't want to create a night when you sit there and you just listen. It's an active night, and you'll have a fantastic time.
I would say it's a bit like Ant and Dec in one room. I think it's it's entertaining how they pack their shows, how we pack the night. Very entertaining. Obviously, we've got.
Well, if they were available for this year's
we could hold them.
We could hold them if we don't watch this. Try and get in there.
We've got we've also got the 12 miles 12 pubs as well, which is good. That's a good afternoon. That's in check on the date on that one. August time. I'm going
to say August 18th. No.
It's getting put further and further back just because of restrictions, so we're not 100%. It's out there. We're hoping it goes. We've just finished the Wear Blue for Charlie month, which was brilliant. Lovely seeing all the pictures of all the blues on that.
12 pubs, 12 miles. It's not literally. It's not a pub. It is a pub crawl. It's don't respect, but we raise awareness. We'll let people know what we're doing. We'll spread the word of what the Charlie and Carter Foundation does. But we do things like you've got to walk into a bar, but you have to walk like a chicken, So, and if you don't do it, you've got to put a pound in a bucket. But it's like, you got to drink left. You got to have a drink left-handed, or you got to put a pound in the bucket. So it's all about enjoying yourself, but you meet so many people as well that you don't know. We've got in August as well. We've got a fantastic event it was Mr. Gay UK. It's their final in February. Now, one of the contestants has been supporting our charity. And we'll be there, but we can't think that it's been the first time we're being involved with Mr. Gay UK.
But they've got a brilliant Instagram page with all of the contestants on there, and I can't wait for that. I think it'll be a really good day, and I'm hoping they might come to the ball as well.
Get some names dropped. Who's
Stuart Hatton's. Stuart Hatton's the one that does. Yeah, Stuart. Go to Stuart. If you have a search of Stuart, he's got it all over the Instagram. This is our first event of this kind, and we're massively looking forward to it. But I think the big events are brilliant, but we also love the ones where the little ones bring in their pennies in the jar. Little ones make things and sell. But anything that you can do, the cake sales, anything just to keep us ticking over. Because we're still not out there, we're still having to go ahead to do the big events. So anything that anybody can do, even along the lines of donating their clothes, their pre-loved items to the shop, we can come and collect them. Anything that they can do to help us keep going and supporting these families, because these families are coming in and we're desperate to help all of them.
The runs as well. And I think Great North runs have been cancelled.
No, they've got their places to go.
So that's a brilliant event for you. If you've got your own sport and you just want to raise money for our charity and the work that we do, please do that. We've got the Ultra North coming up, which is 16-mile run. I've got that in 6 weeks. I think I've got that 6-7 weeks. That's on a Saturday. Which I'm looking forward to. But all those events, like the running events, the bike riding events, if you want to do your own event, if you want to sponsor your husband to cook dinner for a week, you know, you might just say, right, I'll donate £100 to charity if you cook for a week, or and then
Or just to shut up for a week, that would be
Yeah, or not cook for a week, yeah.
You could do something like that, you know. It's anything to bring money in, you know. It's the small, we call this like the smaller scale events, which are on a massive scale, but they are by far just as important as any event that we have going on. But the creativity involved in those can be endless. You know, you could do anything to raise some money. But like I say, it's all their little pots of money that go into the big pot, and that's how we get the money to fund the families who've got children with life limiting conditions. But you can get in contact with us. You can get in contact with Joanne Nicholson, who's in our office, our charity manager. You can just bounce any ideas of her. She'll welcome.
Actually, if you can put the link in the Facebook comments to the page, that would be great, please.
Yeah.
Someone can do that. Who's watching?
Joanne, I think you're watching now. Can you put the link on, please, for the Facebook?
I think she's probably sitting at the moment. Because actually that's along the lines of what we've got in now.
So yeah, so that's happening right now. Retail and events are the two sides that we're looking to bring money in. From a trustee point of view, for ourselves as trustees, we look at any businesses who would like to get involved with us. Can we look at grants that we can get to build our charity? Anybody that can offer advice and can support us to look at that way. Equally, that's what we're trying to do now, to bring money in. And we're also looking at a Charlie and Carter Centre. Right now, something like that is way over our heads, but we'd love to bring a place where it has hydro pools and therapy rooms and development rooms to help kids who have got disabilities or have challenges to South Shields. You know, something like that in our town would be absolutely amazing, but not just for the South Shields community. People will come in from everywhere. There is a couple about already, but there's nothing local to us. But you know, would like to try and help kids and educate kids who have challenges or have a disability, whichever way you want to put it. If the brother and sister who can help them, you know, it's little things. It's like tickling their feet can get stimulants to start working, or moving a coloured ball past the face can try and get the eyes to start moving. But it's try and get kids who don't have challenges to not be scared or afraid of children who do have problems. And I think that we've seen a lot of that when we're with Charlie. A lot of kids would stay away from him because I think they were concerned because he had tubes. But it's kind of educating them and letting them know that there's nothing wrong there. You know, there's nothing wrong. It's just that they have a tube there. And just trying that education part, but helping kids develop. You know, it's that's our big goal. Is could we create it? We really want to. Do we know how to create it right now? No, because running a centre like that is something that we need some help with.
It's a help with guidance, isn't it? It's always been the Charlie Cookson stage. It's always been sort of the where we'd like to see ourselves in the future. And I think there is a big need for a centre for these two to mix. And I think it would make everybody feel comfortable, people to be around, children with special needs, children with disabilities too. And I think it would make the parents feel a little bit more comfortable, because they're very isolated, the parents with the children, because you very rarely get to go out, and especially in this day and age with the pandemic. But I think, you know, going out to the shops with the child who's maybe got a feeding tube in or had tracheostomy, you know that people are going to be looking, and it'll just take that stare away a little bit less, and they'll ask how the child is genuinely, and ask how the parents are as well, because we know only too well that child will only survive if the parents are well in their mind and well in their body, and they are the ones who provide the 24/7 care. So
yeah, I think it'd be great for us as well as trustees if we ever spoke to a business or somebody who was very successful. Let's just say we spoke to them. I just like, you know, it is, Chris, I would like to sponsor, my business would like to sponsor a child a month for the next year. You know, they might just want to donate the the money that would cover that, it costs us £36,000 to help a family a month, so £3,000 per family per month for 12 months. Imagine a business just came to us and says, you know, it is, I would like to donate. My business would like to support a child, would like to sponsor a child every month for the next 12 months. You know, it is, and then we could have that all over our Facebook page, but that's the kind of things that us as trustees would like to start developing now. Try and work with businesses who may want to do that, because for that business to do that, do you know, they'll never know what difference they're going to make to 12 families' lives. And anyone who raises money, that's the difference that they're making right now to these families, because you're potentially changing a family's life and you help them in such a way that they won't get a chance to do. Now, like I said, Sarah mentioned before, the family who's now in a disabled bungalow may have prolonged that child's life by 10, 12 years. You don't know, because they've got the not so much the luxuries, the ease of getting in and out. They can get better care into the house. So it's a huge thing, and for any business to get involved with that would be absolutely phenomenal. And everybody who's raised money and supported money in the past and who's doing it now, you've done that. They should go to bed every night thinking they've made a difference to a family's life. And I'd love that. For me and Sarah, it's personal. With regard to Charlie and Carter, that's why we do it. For every volunteer and people who help us, I think they want to do it because they know they're making a difference to somebody who really needs it. And like I say, we have all the families on our YouTube and on YouTube. Families get a choice to tick out the box whether they'd like to have a story created or a story not created. Now we have to respect that. But the ones that you do see on YouTube, it's because the families have agreed to us to put a story out there for the families that they've helped. You can have a look at that because we're on there.
Well, Chris, Sarah, we can all hear your passion. I know you live this daily. This is your why, and you are changing lives. And I'd just like to thank you for coming on and talking so eloquently and sharing the story and inspiring others as well. And you know, people will be watching this afterwards on a catch up. So hopefully people might reach out or just help in any small way. That would be fantastic. So thank you so much to you both. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, man. We can maybe have a big hug.
Yes.
Yeah, and you, Sarah, I'd love to hug you as well.
Well, Ian, I did suggest Ultra North. You know, you haven't signed up yet.
And on that note, we'll see. Well, the last time I did the Great North Run, I think I had like 2 weeks' notice when there was a spare ticket. So you know, you never know. I might pull it out the bag.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you too.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Love you both.
Bye
now. Bye. Well, there you go. That was our third organisation for this morning. So thank you so much for watching. Where do I go with that? Just all I want you to do is share it, to be honest. Drop it a like, share it, and try and raise the profile of those 3 fantastic organisations who have amazing whys, who are changing lives, and inspire me, and I'm sure do inspire you. So we're going to be running another one of these maybe in a few weeks' time. I think that one's going to be about art and artists. We might have our friend Alfie Joy back on the show as well. So keep watching the channels for that. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next